Darius practice today?
No. Had a high day yesterday, so just didn't want to load it again. Second day, I think he was going to touch it up, shoot a little, but no, didn't want to kind of double load it, if that makes sense.
What do you think?
I think it's day to day. I think it's to try it. You know, it's like I said, we're just in this kind of area where it's, you just got to kind of see day to day, see how he feels. See how he feels tomorrow morning.
Is that the kind of injury that you could take a shot for?
Man, I don't. You know, that'd be a Steve question. You know, I just, you know, that's always tricky. You know, again, I think that's a medical question. I'm not really sure. You know.
What kind of treatment is he having on it?
Again, out of my comfort zone. You know, I know they go in there, and you know, you know, what was in the old days? It did stim, and I think they have more modern treatments. And then when I played ice,
Stim and ice.
you know, I've seen him in the ice bucket. I've seen him in the warm bucket. So, and I asked him when he was in the warm bucket, "What are you doing in the warm bucket?" I thought you iced that. So then I just left because I just kind of leave that to Steve and his group, and you know, they do a phenomenal job. You know, but yeah.
You said the other day that you were undecided on what the plan was going to be if you didn't have Darius for game one. Have you come up with the plan?
Yeah, I think it's first we got to find out the DG situation tomorrow, and then we'll kind of pivot from there. You can imagine the options we have, you know, multiple options. I'd just say different matchup, you know, different. You look at their starters, and what fits best on both sides of the ball, not just the defensive side, offensively.
You had to make a decision, obviously, in the last round. You went with Sam, who's been shooting it well. Is the barrier for Isaac just not shooting it great right now?
I don't think there's a barrier for him. I mean, we played 10. You know, it's weird. The Miami series, I had him in the road, you know, like more minutes, and it just played out that way. I think, you know, it just, I think because other guys were playing well, and all of a sudden, like, man, we didn't get ice in, and it was like, you know, we could have, but again, it was more about we had a group playing well, and they kind of spilled over into his minutes. So I'd say it was just more, that was unplanned, quite honestly. So the plan to start this is he's in the rotation, and we're going to need him. I mean, Halliburton, you know, Ice's ability to, you know, get us extra possessions. I do believe he's 38% three-point shooter on the season. So for me, it's been with him. Let it fly. Keep letting it fly. When same thing with all our role players. When they hit one or two threes, it changes the story. Like, so it can, and that's always been my message all year. We need you guys to keep firing up the open ones, and we're going to continue to do that.
The first thing that you said, the first thing that the guys said about Indiana is just their pace.
Yeah.
How fast they play. How do you negate that, Kenny?
Put our track shoes on. You know, it's like, and it's not. Right, some teams it's like, oh, you know, if it's over and over, you know, it's we have the athleticism, we have the speed. It's just the initial shock of them doing it so consistently. I give Rick and their group so much credit. Plays into their personnel, and the message to our guys is how resilient we can be with our running. You know, like you do it 3 times, they're gonna do. Pascal's gonna run the 4th time. Tyrese is going to get the high out at the 5th. Like, can we do it for longer? I think that's, you know, I think in the Knicks series last year, they kind of wore him out, right? They wore him out. They run more than anybody in the league. That's not just from a visual. There's facts behind that, right? You know, physical facts. So our guys are well aware, you know, but. We're gonna have to feel that and get accustomed to it. But I think they have the message. They understand.
if they do it to a different level than everybody else in the NBA, how do you simulate that in practice?
It's tough. It's tough because we can't, we try to simulate it. It's a good point. We try to put it in drills and there is, with this team, there's some tactics involved with how you most teams, it's like, hey, your transition defense rules in this series, it's like, well, we got to kind of prepare for this in a little bit different way. And then ton of film, right? Ton of film work and simulating the best you can with our breakdowns. But you're not, you're not getting a group of coaches to replicate that. Just not.
So Omar Cook's not like Tyrese Halliburton.
He's done a pretty good imitation of him. I mean, he's just, but that's where coaching comes in. You have to overload the situation, right? Maybe you put a guy down all the way down there, right? And you do a transition defense. Oh man, we got to go get Turner, who's ahead of the field. Like we try to, to the best of our abilities, create almost disadvantaged situations.
Two more incremental Darius questions. Did
Yep.
you take contact yesterday and then
there was coach's contact, right? Like, oh wait, no, yesterday, yes, no, full contact. He was full on. And that was a little bit about the, like, I think the plan was, let's not load him again twice. Let's just see how it reacts from that.
And how did he come through?
Again, I think our thought was he's going to be off court today, so we'll see. I think the feedback's going to be tomorrow. Like when we, what does it feel like tomorrow?
You talked about pace, and obviously they play faster. There's thought about trying to keep up with them, but what are the keys, I guess, for you guys to dictate the pace rather than trying to play it there?
Yeah, we can't change who we are, right? Like all of a sudden we're going to become a slow up. It's going to be. We still have to keep our identity. We're not telling our guys, hey, we got to make this a 94 possession game. That's not it. We just have defensively. Defensively, we just have to be really locked in and win the first 3 steps. I'm gonna steal the Mike D'Antoni. That was his, offensive win. Well, they can't beat us those first 3. They can't beat us out of the blocks.
In the Miami series, when Darius wasn't available, it meant less 2 ball-dominant guard lineups, right? Because Ty and Donovan didn't share the floor as much. What did you like about those groups that had Max and DeAndre and Dean on the floor together?
Well, obviously they created more. It just kind of it shifts, right? And we know Max with the hit and hand back game, right? He can play get game, but so we're comfortable with that. Obviously, Dre, we even got him in some pick and roll. He becomes more of a scorer. We get him in a post. You have to shift a little bit. Your offensive style. It's not going to shift great because we already have our identity. I think it shifts to Evan too. Is it hitting Evan a little more and getting him, using him as a creator. So I don't think you're going to see a drastic shift, but there definitely has. Someone's got to kind of take up the Darius usage if he doesn't play.
This is the last question, kind of off of that. I mean, you've talked about how important the depth of this team is to the success of this team. Are we seeing that as a benefit at this time of the year while you're dealing with plants like Darius?
I hope so. You feel a little bit more comfortable, right? If we have someone out, and we've seen what the 11th guy looks like. We know what the 11th. We have game experience with that. So yes, it makes you feel more comfortable. I think too, just to that, Rick, they also play 10, right? They have depth too, so they can match our depth a little bit. So that's an interesting kind of take on this series because they're so high paced. They have to play more guys. They can't play 7 guys. You can't play like that and play 7 guys. So they trust their depth. We trust our depth. It's going to be who can do it for longer, kind of more efficiently.